With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate that speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Well, this is going to be interesting, isn't it? The PRL LMP3 and GT4 Challenge, and later on, the GTP and GT3 series here on RaceSpotTV. A fantastic sequence of tracks so far in the season, and for the LMP3s and GT4s, we come to Italy for what is sure to be another exciting round at the Autodromo Internazionale di Mugello. It's going to be a fantastic ride. Join us. I'm Reese Gardner. Derek Watson is with me in the commentary box. We've got Dustin Ollis behind the scenes, pressing all the buttons and bringing you these live pictures. Looking forward to this one, Derek, because we've been to quite a big sequence of tracks over the season that have run the gamut in terms of challenging multi-class racing. So far this season, we've gone to the likes of Misano. We've gone to very wet Misano indeed. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as well as Watkins Glen to round off the season. Red Bull Ring was the last round, but we come to the flowing curves of Tuscany.
Yeah, and look how much the schedule is going to change still towards the end of the season. You got Barcelona next, Road America, the Hockenheim Ring, and then one of the sort of secret favorites of a lot of people, VIR, to round out this 9-week season. It's a great schedule full of twists and turns and ups and downs, and a great schedule for these LMP3 GT4 cars.
Yeah, a truly fantastic schedule. This is how things stand in the LMP3 standings. Alec Bergstrom having a bit of a chaotic season so far with some results that haven't quite gone his way despite him being a fantastic pace setter. Dayton Lowe only 4 points behind him for the championship lead coming into this fifth round of the season. It's also pretty close down low with Jake Browning and Doug Sorrentino separated by only 3 points, and Sorrentino has become known for not taking part in qualifying, doing a bit of a last to first challenge in the races. He's gotten some fantastic results as a result of that approach. David Duino and Zach Hebert only separated by 3 points for 9th and 10th as well. For the teams, well, Hydro Race, Geodesic Racing have been the most consistent team finishers, but Roberto's Angels Team Teal starting to catch them up. For Solpic Precision Racing, Muradness M Squad and Fiercely Forward, there's a lot to be worked out around Mugello, and I'm expecting those standings to look slightly different by the time we go to the next round. Tabula Rasa also stand a chance of overtaking Echelon Simsport for 9th and 10th. In the GT4 standings, Aiden Young, once again, the absolute pace setter, but thanks to the PRL's points format, he's not that far ahead of Aaron Myers, only 6 points separating them. This is going to be interesting to see if the likes of Roy Brown, Will Jennings, Darren Rutherford will be able to get the points they need to get a little bit further into the top 5. They need to be careful of the LMP3s coming up on them this round if they want any chance of that. In terms of the teams, well, it's a wild ride for Valhalla Motorsports. They are currently a long way ahead of Solpic Precision Racing at the top of the team standings. Only 8 points between Team Beef and Fiercely Forward. Aiden Young carrying all the points for the Fiercely Forward GT4 team. Let's see if he can overcome Team Beef all by himself. Very interesting stuff indeed here in the PRL, which is brought to you by many great sponsors. Of course, we have to start with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, they design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available on the market today. If you're a PRL member, you also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. Go to advancedsimracing.com. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount there too using the Precision5 coupon code. Buttkicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Muradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Murad. Muradness.com, also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They got a Discord as well. Mr. Hedge, iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. MrHedge.co.uk. He's on Facebook and Instagram as well. And finally, get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. No matter what social platform you're on, they're there. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Threads. Big thanks to all of the sponsors here at the PRL for bringing us this fantastic action. And, well, we've got plenty of action to come here, Derek. We are in qualifying at the moment, almost halfway through. And Dayton Lowe is the man on top at the moment in the LMP3 category. No, Yes, he is. I've just messed up my timing screen a little bit there. But, yeah, Dayton Lowe and Aiden Young both at the top in our respective classes. Going well for them so far.
Doing pretty well, in fact. Look at Dayton Lowe, almost a little over 0.2 of a second faster than Ryan O'Connor for P2 for LMP3, so doing a pretty great job there. But look at the difference, though. 0.004 down in the GT4s, Reese. That's the gap between first and second. Now we're watching Dayton Lowe here on your screen, current pole sitter for LMP3s. He's going to try to set up the corner. He uses the rumble strips a little bit, make the left-hand corner. Don't dig it onto those corners. Great job. He's going to track back out here onto the green, white, and red stripes and come down the front straight here. Let's see if it's any faster.
Yeah, let's see indeed. 142.1 is the time to beat, and
well,
that is Oh, yeah, that's a nice improvement there. Only about a tenth of a second. Ryan O'Connor going a little bit quicker on that occasion as well. So the lead remains at a tenth of a second in the LMP3 category. Sam Mayorga, he's having a pretty good run so far in his Porsche in the GT4 class. He's one of those drivers that has gotten involved in a couple of incidents over the course of the season, and you know, his pace hasn't really been showing up in terms of his points total, so he is hoping he can hold on to something good here.
You know, and as a driver, especially in a league that lasts 9 weeks, when that happens to you, Reese, when you say give away 2, even 3 races a season to those incidents that you feel like you can't control, all the woulda, shoulda, couldas really get inside your head, and really, you know, you start to question yourself. You start to question, you know, could I be better at this, or how do I get better at this? And it really can get out of control. Here's Calvin Myant here, by the way, in the number 27 machine. That bright, I call that sea foam or aqua green, or I don't even call that, but a very bright multicolored green car. And then you see, of course, the wheel on the right side of the car here. You see him working the gears here down here at Mugello.
Yeah, and working the gears is a very important part of driving the Ligier JSP320, which is the car in the LMP3 class. Something that you have to be careful of, especially in the heavy braking zones, is compression locks. If you go down through the gears at the wrong point, and the transmission is just going to lock up and you'll go for a spin, and that could be disastrous coming into these high-speed corners.
Yep, so now see him come down the straightaway here, and you're right, those corners can be treacherous, and that's one of the big challenges of this course here. It's a corner course, 15 corners, in fact, here. So about 3.25 miles, or a little over 5 kilometers, Reese. So a big track here. Now here's Ryan O'Connor, by the way, still has a gap to make up here on P2. He's got it down a little bit, by the way. He was over 0.2 of a second. He's got it down to just over 1/10 of a second. So he's cranking away, trying to get it. Man, if that was close to being an off track.
Yeah, very close indeed. Mugello is quite forgiving when it comes to off tracks, as long as you keep 2 tires on the Italian flag emblazoned curbs, then you should be okay. You can use that green painted concrete off the curbs quite a bit, but O'Connor trying to keep it as stable as he possibly can, careful not to hit those yellow speed bumps too hard either. The firm suspension of the LMP3 will see to it that you get sent into the wall, or worse if you end up hitting those wrong. But just a few more corners to go on the lap here for Ryan O'Connor. Get on the power as quickly as you possibly can, flat out through this left-right sequence, and then just one more turn to go. The diving last corner here at Mugello. O'Connor will have to get on the power as quickly as can be and try and extend this line all the way out, and he manages to do it, only just. This should be a good run to the line. Let's see if he can overcome Dayton Lowe. 1:42.1 the time to beat, but it's not going to happen. He is only 1/10 of a second off his fastest, and that's going to be O'Connor's last chance there to grab pole position, and it is over.
Well, now we'll take a look at Adam Ostrich, one of your GT4 cars in the track in that 96 machine. Comes around here in that black and gray gradient livery, and now it's going to come down here and get started here. So we don't think Adam will finish. We're going to take a look around the track, see if anyone who will. Here's Ray Bartnowski, and we'll see if he can get this lap completed. That number 2 green machine is going to come through the corner. Big sweeping left-hand corner here, Reese. Gets it way wide. Probably want to get a little deeper in that corner, I would think, but here he comes down the start-finish line.
Yeah, the run onto the straight won't be too good as a result of that running wide, but he does improve on his time. No, he doesn't. It looks like that lap didn't count. He got an off track somewhere around the line. 10 seconds remaining. I don't think that's enough time for Aiden Young here to get to the line to finish his last lap, but he won't be worried about that. He is secured in pole position for the GT4s, and with that, it's qualifying over, run, done, and won as we go into this next round of the PRL LMP3 and GT4 Challenge. Starting on pole in the LMP3 category, Dayton Lowe, second in the championship and riding high alongside Ryan O'Connor. The championship leader, Alec Bergstrom, is going to start in third alongside Zach Hebert, Christian Garaton, and Calvin Mayant rounding out the top 6. In third, and Vincent LaRue in 7th place, with David Duino alongside. In the second Hydra race, Geodesic Racing LMP3, Peter Huston and Gerald Utadko rounding out the top 10. We got Nikos Sanadakis back here in 11th place, Brian Vorse starting in 12th spot. Ray Bartnikovsky and Nikhil Taylor, 13th and 14th. Doug Sorrentino and Ian Starker not setting times in qualifying, but they both set times in practice. I'm looking forward to Sorrentino elevating his way up through the field, Derek.
We'll take a look now at the GT4s at Aiden Young and Aaron Myers in the front row, 1 and 2. Sam Mayorga and Reed Gibson, 3rd and 4th. Adam Ostrich, part of that Solprec Precision team, is in 5th, with Darren Rutherford in 6th, part of Valhalla. Carter James and Joshua Lewis, 7th and 8th. Jared Birdwell and Matthew Wyckoff, Wyckoff also part of Valhalla. Christopher Rosario and Callan Tobin, 11th and 12th. Tyler Sage Anderson and Jeff Caulfield, followed by Travis Chapman and Francis Castillo Romero in number 15-16. Derek Putnam spells his name wrong, but that's okay. Derek Putnam in P17, Roy Brown in P18. And then 19th and 20th, Robert McGeehan and Sean Mulholland, the only driver not to set a time.
Yeah, Mulholland didn't set a time in practice either, so I don't know if he's going to be taking to the start here in his Aston Martin, which is a shame because we don't have much Aston Martin representation in the GT4 field. It is the Porsche and Mercedes show with a few McLarens and BMWs thrown in for good measure in that class. Well, the time has hit 0 on the grid, which means we should be getting rolling pretty soon. It's a full formation lap around here and quite a long one to boot. So we've got plenty of time to dissect Mugello here, Derek. One of the things that the drivers will have to be careful of is the way the track meanders here coming into the first proper corner. I think a defense is going to be difficult to pull off depending on how far you draw alongside through there.
Yeah, this track has a lot of challenges to it. Just the slight elevation and the curves in offer to you really will throw you off. The fact there's 15 corners means there's a lot of chance for just mistakes. Not big mistakes, but small mistakes that can cost you a spot here, a spot there. Next thing you know, you're well behind where you want to be. But I think the biggest challenge on a track like this, as it is most weeks, Reese, will be the multi-class when the LMP3s get back around to the GT4s, if we get there. On a track that's known for motorcycle racing and lots of big corners like this, multi-class racing will be treacherous.
It certainly will. This whole back half of the lap is just corner after corner after corner, and you don't get much room to stake your claim into corner entry. 120 Fahrenheit track temperature, that's 49 Celsius for those of you in metric land, and that is quite a warm track, which means with as many high-speed corners as we've got around here, oh lordy, there's going to be a lot of understeer and a lot of overcooked tires.
Oh, yeah, a lot of drivers will be begging for pit window to open so they can put new tires on as fast as possible, because that is a smoking hot track. That's going to be horrible. That's one of the hotter ones I've seen in a long time, Reese. I was trying to rack my head when I've seen one that bad. Like, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. Well, speaking of hot, arrabbiata is a spicy Italian pasta dish, and that's also the name of this double right-hander that these guys are making their way through now. So one of the most challenging sequences on the entire circuit. It's all about corner speed, keeping the apex speed up, as, oh man, there was almost a coming together there in the GT4s. They're trying their best to leave a gap to the LMP3s here, but not going entirely smoothly.
No, sometimes that formation lap can be very challenging because you're trying to hold a speed, and you know there's the uphills and the downhills and the corners, and maybe someone is, you know, trying to read a last-minute text or send a last-minute message or paying more attention to Discord than they should, and you know who knows how all those things come to be. But that really happens more often you'd like to think in iRacing, Reese, where you have those formation laps. Should be the easiest thing to do. Somehow there's a lot of contact made on a formation lap.
Yeah, it's very easy to fall into the trap of, oh, you know, we're just touring slowly around the circuit. I can multitask a little, but it's one of the places where some of the biggest mistakes can be made. So thank goodness we have everyone in the field making their way through the majority of it, and just a couple more corners to go before we can get onto the start. The LMP3s now forming up in their two-wide formation. The GT4s leaving their space a long way behind. It's going to be a while before the LMP3s can catch back up to them. Question is, will there be any of the GT4s meeting the LMP3s on the first lap thanks to crashes? With the nature of this circuit, it's entirely possible, but we'll have to wait and see how things go from the front. The pace car about to jump into the pit lane, and then the long wait for Dayton Lowe to get on the power and begin this race. Everyone bunching up, forming as well as they can. Everyone just waiting for Dayton Lowe's call here. LMP3 and GT4 is go. Dayton Lowe brings us away, and a pretty good jump from him. Ryan O'Connor's already in trouble from Alec Bergstrom, getting squeezed a little bit to the inside of the circuit, but room will be given on the way into the first turn as everyone sorts themselves out. The GT4s are going as well, Derek, and it looks like it's a bit chaotic back there.
They're 3 wide down here, coming into the first corner for the GT4s. Almost 4 or 5 wide. Oh my gosh, contact. Car way wide off the corner there. I got to say, that was Carter James. Got it back on track, so maybe a little frustration, a little dent in the car, but that could have been hugely worse than what it was. Wow.
Yeah,
oh, there you go. There's that meeting.
Yep. David Duino is off the circuit there. We also saw Carter James, and the sole Aston Martin in the GT4 field was the driver that went deep at turn 1 as well. Tyler Anderson going for a huge spin, and that's collected the BMW there of Travis Chapman. Oh my goodness. GT4 is going off right now. Aiden Young hasn't been able to get much of a lead. Sam Mayorga and Reed Gibson, the teammates, chasing him down as David Duino is trying to recover his LMP3, and he makes contact with Sam Mayorga and spins him around. He'll be livid at that.
Oh, Mayorga will not be happy with that. We'll need to see a replay first and decide what happened, but wow, Duino is trying to get back around here and trying to see what he can make, you know, any time up here. Now, a rounder would be the leader there. We'll come back to that. But now let's go back up to the LMP3s and watch this battle here, Reese. There you go. There is your leader. Let's see, there's already a gap. Look at that big gap between 3rd and 4th. Didn't take long, just 1 lap.
Yeah, only 1 lap indeed. Zach Hebert falling off from Ryan O'Connor and Alec Bergstrom, who've traded places for 2nd spot. And the fighting still going on here in GT4. Reed Gibson, we saw him running wide as David Duino came through at Arrabbiata. And it looks like the issues have continued for the Mercedes. He's under a lot of pressure from Aaron Myers, who has been one of the closest competitors to Aiden Young over the course of this season, actually giving him a little bump draft. They want to work together to try and get up to Aiden Young and try and stop him from running away with this.
Yeah, that's what the goal here is, just keep in contact, keep close for now. Even if you have to stay, you know, in line and get that little bit of draft. Here's another LMP3 off pace. That's Hiro Yaduko in the 28, part of Roberto's Angels, and he was slow and had some smoke around him. Oh, man, that car wobbled again. Oh, no. That car must have some bad damage, Reese.
Yeah, he does have some bad damage. Calvin Myant had a spin in front of him, and as Utadgo came through, the rear end of his car was clipped, so the suspension is not having a great time at the moment for Gerald. Yeah, I'm looking at him now, and he's crabbing hard and looking very unstable. Well, regardless, he should be able to recover that if he plays his cards right. Just needs to be careful of the GT4s that are coming up on him now. Our leader, Aiden Young, about to get by him there in the distance as we keep our eyes on Reed Gibson and Aaron Myers. Utadko spun there, fortunately off the racing line, so the GT4s can come through no problem, but that is disastrous there for the number 28.
Yeah, it looked like he was backing up. Maybe he's decided just to go ahead and just tow it back. That was a conversation we had during the 24 hours of Spa, myself and a couple of commentators about, what's better for you, to try to drive it around or tow it. And we all kind of decided it depends upon the damage. And I think there, in that case, for the 28, it's better just to tow it and, not be in the way of this big pack of cars. But here we are, P9 and 10 for the GT4s. This is Birdwell and Wyckoff, and a whole line of cars here as they come down this front straight once again. Reese, this is a beautiful facility. First races, I believe, happened back in 1974. It's hosts motorcycle races. It's hosted a few F1 races, and very well known amongst the road racing community.
Yeah, indeed. It's a fantastic circuit, Mugello, as here's a move attempted here from Aaron Myers. Reed Gibson is not having any of it, protecting second place there. Kalen Tobin, meanwhile, one of the BMWs, has gone off in a big way in the first corner there. A little bit of damage for him, but the battle continues as we get a eye into what happened to David Duino on the first lap here, side by side with the geodesic car, and oh dear, looks like just a little bit of latency contact there for David Duino. That's terrible to have happen on the first lap.
Looked like maybe he checked up a little bit with Vincent LaRue up there in front of him in that purple and black machine, and then just kind of had some contact there after. Now, the curious one would be to see if we can find it later. Might be the Duino GT4 contact to see what happened. But here we are on board with Vincent LaRue, part of Tabata Rossi Esports, running P6 right now. And right now trying to run down 4th and 5th here from Hebert Garrettone, and just about did it in that single corner. Ooh, that was a fast entry. I was getting pretty concerned there, but here he comes now up through these twists and turns. Just like a big roller coaster here, Reese.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the first corner is you can definitely make passes around the outside, and the braking zone can be very short, so you'll see some fantastic moves being made there. As losing positions for Nikos Sanadakis, looks like he's had a problem somewhere in the S's, be it contact with another car or contact with the curbs. Anything can spin you around here. Replay of Anderson, meanwhile, and he was just he just lost the rear coming into the corner, and then there we go. That was Travis Chapman coming in with nowhere to go on the first lap. The fight's still on here for second, though. Aaron Myers trying to round up the outside of turn 1, but again, it's a repeat of what we saw last time, Derek. Reed Gibson steadfast in his defense.
Yeah, very steadfast in that defense, just trying to hold the line. And you see the flashing headlights. Not quite sure why, Reese. We'll take a look and see here, because I don't see any big speed difference. I don't see anything, mischievous happening. I don't know that what's happening. He might just be saying, hey, I think I was pinched, or maybe just playing the mind game. I don't know.
Yeah, I tend to fall on the side of mind game more often than not. If you can distract the driver behind, as long as it's not excessive, then that's a perfectly valid tactic. The replay we saw earlier, this is the same incident from Chapman's view, and you see just how little time he had to react. Oh my God. Yeah,
not much time at all. It's kind of weird to me that car, went up and came back. I know, brakes are not perfect. They don't stop on a dime per se, but the fact that car went through the dirt and somehow bounced back off of nothing. Reese, I don't know if he maybe held the brakes or if he had it in reverse and was trying to get himself cleared, or I don't know, but kind of a suspicious move for that vehicle to kind of go back and forth that quickly.
Yeah, indeed. Maybe holding the brakes a little more would have been ideal, but man, this fight is still going on here. You can see the, I suppose, the difference between the cars in this battle as well. The Mercedes of Reed Gibson having to take it a bit easier into the corners there, as Carter James will pass Adam Ostrich behind them for 4th place. It looks like a problem for Ostrich. I don't know if that's a slowdown or if he just made a mistake off the first turn. Defensive again for Reed Gibson, and I think at this point, Aaron Myers is going to have to try something different. The cutback there is the different thing he's trying, but it's not working. The Mercedes is perfect on the power.
And it almost might be worth it here. Well, Well, let's go back and watch Calvin Myant first in the replay. Now I'll come back to my thoughts about this battle here. Let's watch Calvin Myant in that LMP3. Oh no, this guy.
And that's your Tadco there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was your Tadco. You're right. So as far as this battle here, what I was thinking, Reese, is instead of trying to make the pass, it might be better to sit back here, pull the draft, you know, save that little bit of gas and make the undercut later. It's passing is hard here. This is not one of the easier tracks when it comes to passing. Get comfortable here. Quit looking, save the gas, and beat him on pit road.
Yeah, I think that's the only chance he's going to have of getting by, because it doesn't look like Gibson's going to let that move get done easy. Have a look at this fight, though. Robert McGeehan in the McLaren holding off Roy Brown, Kalen Tobin, and Travis Chapman here. The two BMWs at the rear of this train. This is quite the entertaining fight, and looks like the Mercedes having to make his way by. Oh, wow. Yeah, Roy Brown, he's having some problems in that section, and Travis Chapman might stand a chance of getting through on him, but Chapman will still be carrying that damage from the earlier contact, I would imagine, so it'll be difficult for him to do. Looks like GT4 is certainly the category to watch today. We still have Reed Gibson holding on to second place, and got the power down a little bit worse than Aaron Myers did out of the final corner, and this is where the draft comes in, like you were saying, Derek, but Myers is not going for the back-off strategy. He's going for the front-on assault here as they make contact side by side coming into the braking zone. This is starting to get nasty.
Starting to get nasty indeed, and almost a body check right there between the two cars, and got it in here. Now it's going to try to sit back and set up another pass here. That was the best moment I think Myers has had so far as setting up a pass and, you know, trying to make it successfully, but just ran out of track space and not enough acceleration maybe to get there. So he'll keep lining it up, and we'll come back to this track again here. But wow, that was a great move. I thought he had it, honestly, Reese. I was like, oh yeah, that strategy was going to work.
Yeah, indeed. Well, the traffic is starting to come into a factor here, because the LMP3 leaders are now coming through this pack here. Zach Hebert holding off LaRue and Garaton for fourth place. That battle hasn't changed, but a little encounter with that pack of GT4s we were looking at a few moments ago could change things entirely. You've got to be careful here through these high-speed sections. Commit to your line and make sure that you don't run into anybody and have to slow down just a tiny bit through the first apex of Arrabbiata. The LMP3s have downforce on their side. They can take more speed through the fast corners than the GT4s can. And around a course like this, it's one of the only places you can make a move, but around goes Kalen Tobin. And unfortunately, Vincent LaRue, I think, might be up for a visit to the stewards for that one.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to take a look at, though. I'm not sure from the back view. I mean, I get why Tobin thinks maybe he had the track, but LaRue was coming. I mean, you have to sort of, you know, anticipate at the same time. So we'll hopefully get a replay of that later and see it. But there's that car. By the way, I'm surprised, for the record, that car is still moving as well as it did for the big head-on damage it took. But now he's now going to have an issue with the passing LMP3s. Here's another pass attempt back here in this battle we've been watching, and this one looks a little better, but when you try to pass on the outside, Reese, I don't know how you make it work.
Oh, this could be it. Oh no, Reed Gibson running deep here. This is the chance that Aaron Myers has been looking for as the leader comes through. Dayton Lowe 3 wide, and second place changes in GT4. Finally, Aaron Myers is ahead of Reed Gibson. Had to make a bit of contact to get it done, but that's racing.
Yeah, a little bit of contact. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea to see contact between GT4 cars, but we'll find out. Let's go back to that replay, by the way. I want to see this between Tobin and LaRue. Here's on board with LaRue.
The move wasn't on, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, LaRue was in the corner. I don't know what Tobin thought he was going to do, I guess, except slam on the brakes.
Well, I think maybe that would have been the better option, because if you're not at least a little alongside the car at the turn-in point, then it's probably best to back out. Otherwise, you're just making life hard for the both of you. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I know that we just saw a Porsche passing a Mercedes, and we see a Porsche behind a Mercedes there, but this is a different part of the racetrack here. Jared Bridwell and Matthew Wyckoff there as Christopher Rosario, teammate to Reed Gibson, is at the front of this pack. He's followed by Darren Rutherford, Josh Lewis, and Jared Bridwell as the LMP3 makes its way through. A little bit wide in the middle of the corner there for Rosario, so that will be the chance that Rutherford needs.
Yeah, great job here. First off, great job by the LMP3s for the most part, getting by safely here at a track like this. And a great job for all these cars sort of sitting in back, but not anymore. Here comes the pass. Watch on driver left here as they come into this corner. Now again, he'll be on the outside of this first big corner, Reese.
Oh, is he going to try and back out? This is very stressful. The LMP3's coming through at the same time here. And it looks like easy. Rosario having to go slow at the apex. That gives a chance for Rutherford to almost get alongside, but he messes up the curb there. And now it's Mercedes versus Mercedes, Lewis and Bridwell. This is a fantastic piece of action here, and it shows just how difficult the traffic makes it around Mugello.
It was almost a moment of bump draft in there between Lewis and Rutherford for a second, but they've got it all cleared up for now. The 3 wide again, including that LMP3. My goodness.
Oh, no.
Hold on.
Round he goes. Oh, no. Josh Lewis into the wall, and looked like one of the Porsches involved there as well. That's such a shame there for Joshua Lewis. He was driving so well up to that point, but LMP3s come through, you're throwing off your rhythm, and sometimes a little bit of contact can be made and you are done. Meanwhile, working their way up to the second place battle in GT4, Aaron Myers has held on versus Reed Gibson, and I think, you know, the move that he made was only a matter of time in hindsight, because he is gapping Reed Gibson every lap. Not by much, but enough.
Yeah, and here's look at that passing, and there's a 3 wide, there's another 3 wide, and there's the contact. It's just a case of cars checking up and letting people by, and then someone not getting the memo. But oh man, this race has really been like a GT4 graveyard of sorts. I've seen lots of GT4s damaged, and not so much on the LMP3s at the time. There was someone down pit road on the side of your screen.
Yeah, we've already seen some drivers in the LMP3 class going for the moves as the fight is ongoing here between Rutherford and, between Aaron Myers and Reed Gibson. My apologies. Cars looking around about the same colors in 2 separate battles on the racetrack. So Myant just coming into the pits there. It doesn't look like he stopped. He just drove through the pits. Maybe incident limit already at hand for Calvin Myant. But we've seen Huston and Garaton come in for scheduled pit stops a few laps ago. Bartnikovsky and Duino also coming in, but their pit stops a bit longer with some damage, I presume, to be repaired for them. In terms of the GT4s, we haven't seen anyone come in for a scheduled pit stop just yet as we look on this battle for 9th. That's what you're going to see usually in this series, Derek, is the GT4s tend to go as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, of course, and you know, multi-class racing, the slower class car typically will have the longer gas tank, so it'll feel like they're out there forever compared to the LMP3s, and they will. They're going to go out there forever, because when those LMP3s pit, it could mean you get a bit more of clean air or clean track than what you thought you were going to, so why not stay out and have it here? Man, look at this battle again. Again, they're still at it here, trying to find ways around, swinging a little left, a little right, being a little chaotic about it, but holding on to it. And there goes the green LMP3 on the outside, passes cleanly, pardon me, here at the track.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
hold on, car outside.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Christian Garaton making his way through on Rosario and Rutherford, the battle for 6th in GT4. Man, that was almost disaster there for Darren Rutherford. Bit of contact with the LMP3 as it tried to make its way through. They were 3 wide into the final corner. So you see there that Rosario gets sent a bit wide by the LMP3 coming through. That checks him up. It also checks up the 13, and then the 57 decides, okay, there's a little bit of space there. I'm just going to squeeze through.
Man, it's Really, I don't want to call it a lack of patience by the LMP3s, Reese, but really they've just been kind of taking whatever line they can get, which is not always what we teach about road racing when it comes to multi-class. It's about being patient and, you know, taking calculated risk. But I suppose in a short time frame like this, in this race, you know, being only what time it is, which is, you know, not very long, you have to just do what you can, I guess.
Yeah, well, Rutherford certainly did what he could to get by Rosario there in turn 1, and that move that you saw was exactly, textbook, exactly how you want to see a move done in the first turn here at Mugello. Well, these drivers here, Bartnikowski and Duino, they've already pitted and got some damage repaired. They're a long way off the rest of the LMP3s, but you never know. They might be able to get into a rhythm from here and potentially gain some more positions, as Ryan O'Connor taking the fastest lap of the race, running pretty similar pace to Dayton Lowe at the moment, and 0.6 of a second faster than Alec Bergstrom in second spot. It's a shame for O'Connor because he's got a long way to make up to second place. Ever since Alec Bergstrom defended the position, took it back from him, it just seems like O'Connor has not been able to get himself the pace that he needs. But Lowe is, I mean, just as dominant as ever there in the lead. Bergstrom, we thought, was the real pace setter at the start of the season, but now we're in the mid-season. Seems like Lowe is coming back from him.
Yeah, Lowe's been doing a great job at really making that happen here. You see on your screen, by the way, the time gap between Dayton Lowe and Ryan O'Connor, who set that fastest lap last time by. And man, it's 8 seconds. It's not really budging that much here for Ryan O'Connor. He's staying consistent. But look at the time gaps or the time sectors on the bottom part of me, Reese, and you'll see for lap 9, it was Ryan O'Connor faster. For lap 10, it's Dayton Lowe. For lap 11 is Ryan O'Connor, but the minimal amounts of time is what's making this not, you know, that big a gain.
Yeah, it's only a very small gap being made up for the lead, but the gap for second is what O'Connor's really chasing here. Bergstrom setting a 1:44.0 on that lap, and that is not quick as far as LMP3 pace goes. O'Connor setting a 1:42.5. That's an amazing gap made up, 1.5 seconds on Bergstrom, who had to make his way past a GT4 coming out of the final turn. So now that the first run of traffic is done for the LMP3s, they can get into their rhythm again, see if they can find the pace after having to compromise as they made their way past the slower classes.
Well, here we are. Here's back to Dayton Lowe. Now it's got a bit of a clean track ahead of him. You see another GT4 here. And man, that time gap of how fast they close. You think in your head, Reese, that a GT4 and LMP, they're not that different. But man, when you see it like that and you see Dayton Lowe coming in your mirror, oh man, it's fast.
Yeah, so fast through the quick corners at Mugello as Aiden Young and Aaron Myers in GT4 taking their mandatory pit stops with 13 minutes remaining on the clock. So this is a relatively early call for a lot of the GT4s here. I would have expected them to stay out a couple more laps, but Young, Myers, Ostrich, James, Rosario, Wyckoff, Putnam, Kaufhold as well, all into the pits. Aiden Young's pit stop already complete at a solid 14.5 seconds. Carter James with a 13.7 pit stop time. So the Aston 199 looking quick here, gaining quite a bit in the pit cycle. Let's see if it works out for him.
Yeah, and the reason why you might want to do this, Reese, where you pit sooner than what you think you have to, is you have to calculate where you are in traffic and also where you're going to come out in traffic if you pit right now. Those are factors I think a lot of drivers don't take into account. Is what would the traffic be like if I do pit? And listen, if you can either pit out and get clean traffic or avoid traffic by pitting, maybe it's more beneficial than just running the car dry. There's a lot of factors goes into it as a driver. You have to really get all of them in your head and see what works the best for you here.
Oh, Alec Bergstrom was compromised on pit exit. He come out just behind Joshua Lewis in the GT4, and Bergstrom's had to just lift and coast all the way out of pit exit there. That's going to lose him valuable time in his battle with Ryan O'Connor. You see the onboard here. He wants to go. He wants to get on the power, but he can't go anywhere. He can't cross onto the racetrack until they pass the blue cone.
Yeah, top they passed that merge line, you're right. So that was painful to watch happen for the LMP3. And as we talked about, you have to judge about pitting and when and where and how because of multiple factors. And in that case, that LMP3 lost out. Well, here we are back in GT4. The battle for 10th, 11th, and 12th is on. This is Caulfield, Putnam, and Romero back here. And they're back in this little gaggle of cars. Now, Reese, with about 11 minutes left in the race here as pit stops are happening and wrapping up for certain cars. Reed Gibson and Rutherford are now on pit road. It's just about time just to press on the loud pedal and go. Not much left to worry about.
Yeah, indeed. Aiden Young will continue on as, I've just seen Kaufhold got spun. There was side-by-side between Utadko and Zanadakis coming into the right-hander there in the Valhalla Porsche. Ran into the back of them and unfortunately swung his way around. Well, Dayton Lowe has retaken the lead of LMP3. Zach Hebert still keeping his eyes open as, dearie me, that's exactly what happened there to the Valhalla Porsche. It's a shame to see because, you know, it's not often that you see a car being spun by making contact with a car from behind.
Yeah, no, not very often at all, right? Typically in multi-class racing, you see it happening in other ways. But man, Gibson and Myers right here, second and third. The battle's on again. Reed Gibson still involved in this GT4 battle. They're about 7 seconds behind Aiden Young, just for reference. So this is the battle right here. With respect, what I'm trying to say is they're not going to catch Aiden Young. They're sort of just involved in this battle for second and third.
Yeah, and speaking of pit stop times, Reed Gibson, the reason he is ahead of Myers again is his pit stop time was much quicker. He was 1.5 seconds faster in the box than Aaron Myers and managed to gain 0.8 in total on the pit lane transit. So the pit cycle losing out in terms of Aaron Myers, so he's going to have to do all of that hard work we saw him do over again. Dayton Lowe, our LMP3 leader, is now in the pits, and that just leaves Zach Hebert and Nikhil Taylor to make their way in our top class. It looks like they are going to continue on. No, Zach Hebert jumping in there, and oh my god, what a dive that was from Aaron Myers. Almost sent Reed Gibson wide, but the Mercedes is proving an immovable force right now.
Yeah, proven to be an immovable force and doing a great job of defending there. But sometimes when you are the car trying to make the pass, you have to sometimes just make something happen for yourself and see if it'll stick. That's part of the fun of racing sometimes, is impressing yourself at what's able to be done, and that was what he was trying to do there. But to realize it wasn't going to stick and backed out, no need to wreck both the cars. And that's a slow car right there. And I just can't tell who that is from this from the front view. That's Derek Putnam, but very, very slow through that last corner.
Oh, and that's why we had an LMP3 coming through. He went wide off the racing line, and the rear end just went.
Luckily for him, didn't hit anything, so a little mental frustration, little, you know, maybe I won't say a bruised ego, but a little anger. But he'll get that car back around with no damage. Here's Vincent LaRue, by the way, back in 9th, trying to hold off a battle for 10th while passing a car. LaRue's on a recovery run after that contact with Calvin Tobin earlier. You know, you could almost be surprised, Reese. The prototypes seem to be more susceptible to damage, and that maybe the damage can affect them more than it does your typical GT car. But LaRue's still running pretty well despite that contact.
Yeah, he's holding on, and that's all that can really be asked of him at this stage. Struggling to try and find his way through on these GT4s. Oh my goodness, through Arrabbiata. What line do you pick? That's a very awkward spot to come up on a GT. Do you go for the cutback on the inside, or do you use the superior downforce of the LMP3 to go around the outside of the corner? It can be very awkward at times.
Oh yeah, very awkward and very, you have to make that decision fast about what you want to do here. Just as a note, Calvin Mayent's now out of the race, so that's one less car on the track here. But here's Huston and Garaton trying to get around these last couple cars they'll face here. About 6.5 minutes to go, Reese. About 4 more estimated laps around this track for the faster class. And there they go. Garaton almost losing time here a little bit in this battle.
Yeah, he didn't make up much time on Huston down the straight, did he? And only just managed to clear the Aston Martin of Carter James. Vincent Leroux, meanwhile, in the pits for a second time. We're not sure exactly why, but maybe has some extra damage that he didn't get repaired. We'll have to wait and see on that front. But our leader in GT4, Aiden Young, proving as untouchable as ever. He just took advantage of the chaos on the first lap and built that gap, and now he's got a lovely, comfortable lead. Turns out Vincent Leroux had a drive-through. I think that is the incident limit biting him. Very easy to get off tracks around here.
Yeah, very easy. And a rule we don't probably talk about enough within the PRL. Some very strict incident limit rules about for your drive-through penalty, and then a DQ from the race if you're not careful. And there's only a 4 incident point difference between the two. So if you're Vincent Leroux, yeah, we only about 5 minutes left, but you have to be careful, Reese, because the danger in a DQ, you don't finish last in the race. You don't finish the race. You get 0 points. It's not a drop week. It's nothing like that. It's a big old goose egg on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it would be disastrous for your points total if that happened, considering, the chaos that we've seen in this season so far. We've already got plenty of drivers who have already gotten a low score that they prefer to use as a drop round, so they want to try and preserve as many points as they can going forward in the season. So just keep your eyes on stalks. Act like there's a raw egg underneath your throttle pedal and your brake. Just be very careful indeed around Mugello. Huston and Garaton probably don't want to hear that advice right now. They want to race for 5th.
And you know what? If you have the incident points left, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and race as hard as you want to. But that's why managing those off tracks, and especially the card contact for LaRue. Remember, that card contact with Tobin alone would have been a 4x. That's a third of the penalty points he's allowed before the drive-through can occur.
Well, that was a bit awkward for Aiden Young. I suppose he'll. That's another reason he'll be happy he has such a big lead. Aiden Young is currently 9 seconds ahead of Reed Gibson and gave up a few seconds running wide for Garaton there, but he can keep that gap going very nicely with only 3.5 minutes on the clock. Back
to Dayton Lowe here, coming down again here. About 3 estimated laps to go. They should finish about 21 laps here under green per the time we have remaining. And Dayton Lowe here with an 11-second lead over Bergstrom. You talked about how some people thought coming into the season, Reese, that Bergstrom would have the pace, maybe be competitive, but just not really producing so far. So, a lot of season left. Who knows what can happen? But right now, it's all Dayton Lowe.
Yeah, well, Bergstrom was clearly the quicker driver in the opening rounds, but starting a couple of rounds ago, just having some trouble with getting the consistency of the results, getting involved in incidents as well as put him on the back foot a little bit. So we'll see if Bergstrom can recover something in the final rounds of the season to stymie the charge of Dayton Lowe. This is 4th in GT4. We're on board with Adam Ostrich right now as he tries to get past Carter James's Aston Martin, and look at the overspeed there for Ostrich in the Porsche. He draws alongside in the braking zone, nice and deep round the outside, but it's too deep, and Carter James will keep the position.
Yeah, great job by James here to stay patient. Knew he had the inside corner and very likely would keep that spot. There's the Johnsonville car. Oh, Reed Gibson's around.
Oh, no. Oh,
Oh, what a
no.
great run that was.
Yeah, Gibson could have been a third, could have been a second. That's such a shame for him, now missing the front end. And worst thing about it is, we're hearing he did it to himself, just catching those speed bumps. I was warning about them in qualifying. They were a problem for the LMP3s, problem for the GT4s as well. You hit them wrong, the car gets unsettled, and there's nothing you can do to recover the rear.
Yeah, nothing at this track you can do. And of course, that conversation is so track dependent. Oh no, there went an LMP3 off. That was just a little bit wide in the corner for Bartonkowski. I don't know what really happened there, Reese. He was just a little wide in the corner, and then the car was, I don't know, just sort of had a mind of its own. But here he goes back around.
Yeah, we'll see what happened to him here. Makes the move on the Mercedes, but he just got crossed up over the curb. Mugello certainly has some rough curbs, and it's difficult to keep the momentum up through the turns. Well, we've seen a couple of GT4 battles fall by the wayside, but this one between James and Ostrich for third. My God, how late do you want to be on the brakes into the final corner, Adam Ostrich?
Well, sometimes when the time is ticking less than a minute, you have to just go for it and see what happens. Now running down that 199, and Ostrich are going to try to be the flying Ostrich one more time. And we come down through the line here. He'll get out here, and of course the danger we've seen multiple times, Reese, is he's on the outside of the first big corner. So while it looks a little helpful right here, he's going to get beat onto the inside more than likely.
Oh, no! Off he goes! He was trying to squeeze Carter James to the inside there, and the car got unsettled. So the Solpec Precision Racing GT4 is going to fall down the order there. Oh, no. So Adam Ostrich will be down to 5th place, and it is the white flag now for Dayton Lowe in the LMP3 lead. One more tour of Mugello to go. This is another look at the incident there between Carter James and Adam Ostrich, and I'm not too sure how to call that.
I don't think there's any call. I think he just got a little too deep, a little too hot on the tires, a little too late on the brakes, and just kind of looped it around on his own. It's, that's just being dangerous and treacherous here with a white flag out. So here we are now, last lap around the track, and really for both of our leaders of both classes, these races are, knock on wood, all but decided, short of some tragedy happening. Reese, you got Dayton Lowe here, as I said, 11 seconds up. This needs to be patient, calm, and almost run a pace lap, and he'll be fine.
Yep, just keep it nice and smooth and bring the car home. If you're that far in the lead, especially versus the likes of Alec Bergstrom, you want to minimize the chance of making any errors. But, pole position for Dayton Lowe, and leading pretty much the whole way here outside of the pit cycle. It has been a fine drive from the 708, which will likely continue his massive run for the championship in the LMP3 class. One more car to pass around the outside on the way into the final turn, and with that, Dayton Lowe is going to take victory in your LMP3 class. A fantastic drive indeed from the fiercely forward 708. But the battles are still not over. 5th place, Peter Huston versus Christian Garaton. Garaton's been trying his hardest to make his way through, and they've been following each other through GT traffic, and they've got an entire half a lap to stake their way out there. Actually, no, I was looking at the wrong place on the circuit. They're coming through the final corner. Looks like Peter Huston is going to grab it. For a second I thought Garaton was going to grab it from him there, but no. Far enough ahead that Peter Huston will get 4 positions and make it 5th place on the road.
Great job there in those battles for the LMP3. Here's Aiden Young as a lapped car ahead of him, sort of blinking the headlights. Back up, Aiden. No need to pass here. Put yourself on a spot on the last lap. But, just want to make the pass. As a race car driver, the hardest thing to do, Reese, is like getting them to slow down, right?
Yeah.
Telling a race car driver, hey, just slow down and be patient, would be a difficult thing to do here.
Yeah, certainly. You know, there's a part of you that just wants to get the race done as quickly as possible and give yourself a bit of a rest. Well, it's going to be a well-earned rest for Aiden Young. It is yet another GT4 win on the board here at Mugello. He was so far ahead that they had zero chance of catching up to him. Aaron Myers is going to grab second spot in the GT4 class, and the very damaged Reed Gibson will get his way through in fourth place in GT4, managing to hold on as Carter James gets the Aston Martin onto the podium. Fantastic stuff from him. And well, with that, we can reflect on yet another very interesting round of the LMP3 and GT4 Challenge here at the Precision Racing League. Let's go through the results then. Dayton Lowe in the LMP3 class. What a fantastic drive it was. 11.7 seconds ahead of Alec Bergstrom. O'Connor gets onto the podium with the fastest lap to boot. That'll be an extra point there in the favor of the 95. Zach Hebert, the only other car in the LMP3 to finish where they started, aside from our leader. Fourth place for him, with Huston and Garreton working their battle out 4/10 apart. Doug Sorrentino, he's known for not qualifying and making his way through the field. He has the most positions gained in LMP3. Tsanadakis, Duino, and LaRue rounding out our top 10. Nikhil Taylor got a drive-through on the very last lap, unfortunately exceeding the incident limit there, with Ray Bartnikowski, the first driver, a lap down. And unfortunately for you, Tadko, Myant, Vos, and Starker, they had plenty to be sad about today. Roberto's Angels not having a very good run here tonight. Derek, how'd they go in GT4?
Well, look at this. After 21 laps here, Aiden Young, of course, your winner by 9 seconds over Aaron Myers. Carter James, Reed Gibson, third and fourth, with Adam Ostrich recovering back to P5 after that big spin you saw with about a minute to go. Darren Rutherford and Christopher Rosado, 6th and 7th. Francis Castillo Romero in P8. Jeff Cofield in 9th. And Derek Putnam back in P10. Those are last cars a lap down, with Joshua Lewis, Roy Brown, Kalen Tobin, and Travis Chapman rounding out the cars 1 lap down. Then Matthew Wyckoff 2 laps down, and it gets worse from there, Reese. Taylor Sage Anderson, Robert McGeehan, Jared Birdwell, Sam Mayoga, and Sean Mulholland rounding out your 20-car field.
Indeed. Poor Mulholland not even taking to the start, and Sam Mayorga out on the first lap. How would you be in his position after his fantastic qualifying performance? Well, now we can move into having a chat to our drivers, and the first one to join us is Dayton Lowe in the LMP3s. It's another win on the board for you, Dayton, and well, you look like you were enjoying yourself out there.
Yeah, I was a happy camper. Towards the end, I started to get mildly terrified because my left rear was absolutely shot. Like, someone actually set fire to it. It was not a great experience. But I succeeded in both my goals. I got the win and I 0x'd. I'm really happy with this result.
Yeah, that's very solid indeed, Dayton, especially considering what you were dealing with the tyres there. I wanted to ask you about the track temperature. Incredibly high, which isn't what you want at all in a circuit with so many fast corners.
When I loaded into the session for the first time, I saw 53 degrees Celsius, and I was immediately terrified because all week I was practicing at like 39 degrees and even lower than that. So seeing 53 really terrified me. But my boy Colin, shout out Colin, he made the set unbelievably great in these high temps, and yeah, it was scary, but I managed it, and yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, that's another solid points standing for you there. You didn't quite get the fastest lap, but it'll still be a good points total in your haul against Alec Bergstrom. We're past the midpoint of the season, and now it's just a case of trying to get those consistent finishes, maybe even take the title.
Yeah, I'm going to try my best. Again, this is not over until we cross the line on the very final race on the final lap. So this isn't over, but this is a great confidence boost.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations once again, Dayton. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll chat to you again next week.
Catch you on the flip side.
Dayton Lowe, the winner of our LMP3 class there. In terms of our GT4 class, meanwhile, Derek, it was the Aiden Young show once more.
Well, Aiden, it's been a few weeks since we spoke, but nothing's really changed here. Here you are winning yet another GT4 race here in the PRL. How was it out there? It looked just menacing out there tonight.
It was hot. It was slippery. Car for sure did not like it, but it was fun. And I can't really think of anything else to say right now because other than the fact that Fierce Ford's got another 1-1, so it's good for the team.
There you go, another win in the bucket for Fiercely Forward. Well, we got still a busy schedule up ahead of us. On the tracks left, of course, we finish at VIR. What track concerns you the most on the rest of the schedule?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would probably have to say Hockenheim. The only thing I would say about Hockenheim, though, is it's going to be in the wet, so that at least helps me a bit, because the Merc's pretty good in the wet. But VIR, Road America, and Barcelona, those are all the tracks I look forward to, especially VIR, since it's only an hour away from me in real life. So if I end up going there and getting a win there in the sim, it'll be awesome.
Yeah, a lot of pride in getting a win at your home track. But Aiden, great run tonight in the 427, and we'll see you next week.
I see you next week.
Lovely stuff from Aiden Young once more, and big congratulations to Carter James, the sole Aston Martin in the field, getting into third place. The number 99 is with us now. Congratulations, Carter. That looked like a fun race from your perspective.
Yeah, thanks. That was pretty airy there. I mean, like, we were battling back and forth there, second through fourth, and then it was kind of like a pit stop battle where, like, I ran out of fuel going across the line there, so I think we were all pushing it pretty hard.
Yeah, I noticed that your pit stop time was very quick indeed. I suppose it was a matter of just monitoring the LMP3s and seeing when they would cross the line. Were you anticipating that there might be some drama over whether or not you'd go that extra lap?
There was, like, my fuel calculator like kept bouncing back and forth between like needing another lap or not. So got pretty lucky there that made it across the end. So.
Yeah, and one thing that I have noticed about the Aston Martin, having driven it before, is it tends to have more of a road-based gear ratio than the other GT4 cars. How does that cope with the sweeping curves of Mugello?
Pretty good here. It's like you're not in between too many gears. Mosport, actually, the reason I spun last week at Mosport was I had shifted down to second, and it hit the rev limiter almost immediately and like locked the rear wheels. And so some tracks, like, there's some issues like that where you got to like consciously think about it. But here at Mugello, it's beautiful.
Well, good to hear. Front engine rear wheel drive, of course, has many cousins in the GT4 class, but this time it was the Aston on top. Carter, congratulations, and hopefully more to come from here.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Carter James in the Aston Martin, getting it done. Very nice indeed. Well, Derek, that's going to conclude our coverage of LMP3 and GT4. Next week, we go to Circuit de Barcelona. Historic. What a great layout that is of this track. I'm pretty sure that both classes will be grateful we're not using the chicane.
Yeah, I mean, historic obviously refers to the layout of the track we're using, but historic's a great word to use when talking about this track. A lot of memories across all forms of racing, so we'll see if we can make more memories 1 week from tonight here on RaceSpotTV.
Indeed, we shall, as we move on through to the GTP and GT3 series. This is our magnificent action series for sure. If you thought that the LMP3 and GT4 race was exciting, this is going to be fantastic too. Interlagos for the 5th round of the season. Fuji Speedway No Chicane is going to be the next round, and then we round it off with Road America, Barcelona once more, and then Circuit de 24 Heures du Mans. 24 Heures du Mans is what I have to keep reminding myself to say.
Circuit de la Sarthe, as some of us will call it, but lots going on there. Let's take a look at the points here. Pat Pelshaw has a 44-point lead, over Graham Wildman. And then Alex De Lameda, Jeremy Carter, and Darian Roy, round at your top 5. Bradley Holly's back there on P6 with Nate Bartley, Jack Hedgecox, Nicholas Schwartz, and Matthew Dennis round out your top 10. Only separated by 100 points top to bottom. That's a good run for your GTPs. Whataback Overdrive has a 7-point lead over Solpeck. Go Win Racing has got 309 points with Solpeck Racing CAN right behind him. And then Blue McCall Motorsports, Pax Ocean, Simcar, and Pharisee Ford round out your top 8 in points.
Yeah, Vice Motorsport thus far 0 points on the board. In GT3, Brett Gardner and Jake Cummings have been the class of the field, the teammates in the brilliant red Corvette Z06s. Chris Stewart and Ted Lowendick battling hard for 3rd place. We have William and Eric Fenson only separated by 4 points as well. It's a shame to see the downfall in the point standings from Corey Saccone. He was one of the top competitors to Gardner and Cummings up the front of the field, but there's a chance for him to claw something back from this round forward. We will have to wait and see on that. In terms of the GT3 teams, well, Brett Gardner and Jake Cummings are Tech Sport Academy by AMS, and they are on top by a long way over Fenson Brothers Racing. The gap's quite a bit larger for the team standings here, but Tachyon Simsport and Big Fast Racing only separated by 7 points here, so we'll see if the winding course of Sao Paulo falls in the favor of either of those teams.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look here. You round out, you got some teams on the bottom, but this team points is pretty spread out and really can express the benefit you can have in PRL or any league of recruiting teammates and being ready to go. Well, let's check in on qualifying, Reese. Here we are at Interlagos, and going to watch and see how things are moving along. Currently, Graham Wildman, Pat Pelshaw is up on the board as your leader.
Yes, he is. Pelshaw has been the form guy in the GTP class here. But Graham Wildman, with his fan club in the stream chat, always a factor. He's gotten a couple of podiums and has always had an exciting race. He'll take the opportunity to practice a pit stop here, a pit entry, on his way to the end of his qualifying run. We'll see if he can put the Cadillac up any further, especially with the form that Pelshaw has had this season. Pole position at just about every single round and leading by a long way. It's a similar situation as to Aiden Young in the GT4 category. It just seems like no one can hold a candle to him.
Yeah, it does kind of feel that way, doesn't it? It's sometimes dominance happens and it feels like it's just impossible to make up that skill gap. Well, here's William Fenson back here in the GT3 class and riding along that number 7 machine and trying to keep it on the track here and get through the corners. Nice run here through that left-hander. And Reese, this is my first time in the booth this year. I've seen, of course, the broadcast that you and others have done, but my first time this season live seeing the GT3s on the track with the GTPs. A slight difference from when Joey Tebben and I called this series last season, pardon me.
Yeah, indeed. It's undergone quite an upgrade, has the series, depending on how you look at it. Some LMP2 drivers would say it's a downgrade because we're not racing the Dallara P217 anymore in the second class. This isn't just the prototype challenge anymore. It is a full-on IMSA spec series with GTP and GT3 making their way around the world. So that's resulted in quite a bit of multi-class action, it goes without saying, and quite a bit of drama as well. We'll see what Ted Lowendick does here into the pits for him. Another pit stop practice. Very important here at Interlagos. You can see just how quickly those yellow cones come up. You do not want to lose time in the pits here.
No, you don't want to lose that time at all. So that's very important to watch drivers practicing that here. About 40 seconds left on the clock here, so most drivers are probably done with their laps. So here's Nathan Ray here coming around. Should be able to complete this lap before time is over, but I don't believe this is a time lap. I think someone, yeah, it's lap number 5 for him. So he's just doing it just for the practice. And oh, I thought he was going to also practice that pit stop there, but he decided last minute to leave it on track.
Yeah, it can be deceiving, the end of the lap here at Interlagos, because the fastest line through the run onto the start-finish straight is to actually cut across the pit entry. So, you know, we won't know until the very last second whether or not a driver is going to be going for the pit lane. Well, we'll be approaching that very shortly as qualifying is done. And, well, no surprise here. Pat Pelchat is on pole position, but not by a huge margin. It's only a couple of tenths to Graham Wildman, who joins him on the front row. Nathan Bartley is going to start alongside Rodrigo Abrao, who has been looking for a good result ever since his unfortunate runnings at Algarve. Bradley Holly, he got on the podium last round thanks to a fantastic no-stop drive in the wet at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. 5th place alongside Alex de Almeida. Nathan Ray, we usually see him a little bit further up, but he'll certainly have a good run from 7th alongside Jack Hedgecox, with Jeremy Carter and Matthew Denise rounding out the top 10. Jeff Evans and Nicholas Schwartz 11th and 12th. Our GTP field, Derek, will be rounded out by Darian Roy and Carsten Quint.
Moving back to the GT3s now, Brett Gardner takes the pole by about a tenth of a second over William Finson. Ted Lowendixon third with Chris Stewart on the outside of him. And then Jake Cummings and Eric Finson round out your top 6. Moving back into P7s, Corey Finson with Sean Stecker. Then Gabriel Alvarado in P9 with Daniel Trinka in P10. Bowie Sewin and Travis Pruitt round out your top 12. Sean Murphy in that DFL Racing is in 13th with Evan Henneman on the outside. P15's Doug Evans, part of Wadaback back row with TJ Yankee in P16. And then Richard Savareda, with Dean Garreau, 17th and 18th. And then P19, last but not least, is Kerry Corcoran.
So 19 GT3s, 14 GTPs to take to the start here at Interlagos. And this is Graham Wildman's best chance yet for a fantastic result. We haven't seen him on the front row yet so far this season. Good news for this field is the track's a lot cooler than it was for the LMP3s and GT4s at Mugello. Only 23 degrees Celsius, 73 Fahrenheit. Solid humidity numbers as well, with barely any wind. It looks like optimum conditions in virtual Sao Paulo with no threat of rain.
Now, what a good news that is for those GTPs, right? That's sort of been the story for the past, season and a half now, is the GTPs and their performance in the rain. We'll reach the same number of corners, 15 in fact, is what we're looking at, but a little bit shorter of a track this time. This time only, 2.6 miles or 4.3 kilometers, so a little bit tighter action than what we saw last time here at this track, which I believe ironically broke ground right around the same time. I was trying to find it. Yeah, only opened, I think, a lot sooner. I'm sorry, it opened in 1940. Sorry, yes. I had a date wrong there in my notes. I was like, man, that'd be kind of ironic if we had 2 tracks both open in the 70s, but nope, never mind.
Well, the 1970s layout of Interlagos is legendary, and for very good reason. It used to be a lot longer, over 7 kilometers in length, and it was a veritable maze. It's a bit simpler now, but it's lost none of its character since this layout upgrade dating from 1991. Here we go then. 1990, I should say, getting my years wrong too. It's time for the start. The GTPs just about to make their way to the start-finish line through Subida dos Boxes, the final kink and the final proper turn on this layout. Let's see who gets the best of starts here, as Pelchat will bunch them up and the pace car makes its way into the pit lane. Will Pelchat decide to go early, or will he wait all the way till the call of the green flag? Our 14 GTPs put the power down and we are away. Good coordinated start from the Solpic Precision Racing cars. Nathan Bartley getting up the inside of Graham Wildman for P2. Wildman's going to try and hold on, but he'll have to make room, and they'll slow each other up as the GT3s are away as well, Derek. 3 wide into the first corner.
Man, look at the contrast and difference between how these two classes start, Reese. The GTP is almost kind of calm, collected, side by side. The GT3s is chaos and just frantic movements, 2 and 3 wide through the first corner. But as far as I can tell in both camera shots, everybody has survived the first corners.
They have indeed. Fenson goes wide, P2 for GT3, and now will fall under pressure from Jake Cummings, teammate to Brett Gardner. Jake Cummings getting 2 positions so far on the first lap. It's been a great run there from the number 95. And so Tech Sport by AMS will have a lovely sandwich to eat, the filling being William Fenson, as the field makes their way through the final couple corners in the GTP. Pat Pelshart with a perfectly executed start, and away they'll go round the first lap. Pelshart in the lead by 1.2 seconds.
We go full screen here now with your GTP class, as we're already about a minute and a half into this race, and already Pelshot's got a 1.3 second lead here over Nathan Bartley, and then Graham Wildman's back there in third. Graham, of course, tried his hand at oval racing last season, Reese, and oh, hold on.
Whoa.
That's Nick Schwartz right there in that green and yellow machine.
Yeah, manages to get off the racetrack and avoid getting anyone else involved in that, as Ted Lowendick and Eric Fenson battle into the first corner here. Fenson on the outside, which isn't the worst place to be in turn 1. You can stick it up the inside of turn 2 and try and get a good run through Curva do Sol, but the inside is with Ted Lowendick in the Audi, and he will keep the position. It's a very good run for Fenson Brothers Racing so far, with William up in second and Eric trying to fight over a position in the top 5. He's searching desperately for a way past Lowendick.
Lots of quick snap of movements there. Those make me nervous in the race cars, because you never know how the race car will decide to behave with that quick of weight moving back and forth. But here they go now. Going to make a side-by-side battle. This would be, I believe, Savarita, Corcoran, and TJ Yankee, 15, 16, and 17, respectively. Nope, there's a car turned around. That's a GTP. That's Abreu.
Yeah, Rodrigo Abreu, he's had some poor luck in this series. It's not a good reflection of his pace, really, as, oh, dearie me, this is looking interesting. Hedgecox, the Almeida, Ray, and Matthew Denise all fighting over 5th spot here. De Almeida grabs the 5th place, Hedgecox having to fall in behind, as Nathan Ray stands a chance of making up a couple of positions here. He hasn't advanced forward from his starting position so far, but he has a chance here as Hedgecox goes defensive into Desida de Largo. The inside line will work there, and the off track will be taken for Nathan Ray. Got to be careful on the exit of turn 4 here. It's very easy to rack up incidents there.
Yeah, maybe not as prevalent as it was in our last race, Reese, but off tracks and penalty points still need to be discussed. We can touch on that later here if it comes around, but that threat of that drive-through still lurks in the back of your mind somewhere if you're a driver at a track like Interlagos. Only 13 incident points, not a whole lot here before that happens. Let's take a look here in the top left of your screen. Ooh, just got on the brakes a little bit trying to avoid that car, I believe.
Yeah, it was Graham Wildman behind Bradley Holly there, and I think it was Abreu behind Bradley Holly, and I think Abreu having some problems getting it slowed up. I think he might have been on the brakes a bit late for Junsao, and very lucky not to clean up Holly there in the midst of all of that. So Abreu now down to 13th place. He'll try and salvage some kind of finish from here, but it's going to be tough. Maybe these guys will cost each other time and help to bring everyone else in the GTPs forward to them. De Almeida still holding on versus Hedgecox. That's where Abreu is right now. Carsten Quint and Nicholas Schwartz, the 2 cars behind him. We still have all of our GTPs running. We do have one GT3 that is not taken to the start. That's Dean Giroux in the number 44. And oh no, Corey Fenson has spun around there. The 3rd Fenson Brothers Racing Ferrari, and that is a disastrous place to get beached off Junsao. What happened to him here? Just collecting the curb, and problems on the power.
Yeah, probably got into gas a little too soon, I would guess. If we had an onboard camera and we turn it up, you would hear he just could have slammed on the gas a little too early, and then got there, turned around. Here's a car down pit road. I can't tell who it was. Probably one of the cars that needs repairs because it's a little too early to get your gas and gas for the race. I'm being told it was Murphy, who I didn't think was involved in anything, but I don't see how you pit 6 minutes in, Reese, and not have to pit again.
Yeah, well, it looks like the number 3 of Gabriel Alvarado, the Mustang, was, excuse me, spun out of turn 1. This is how it happened. So he just lost the rear, and then in came Sean Murphy to make contact with him front on.
Oh, there you go. That's why Murphy needs to pit. I guess we solved that mystery now.
Yeah, unfortunate answer to that mystery. Alvarado will have to limp around to the pits. Murphy is already retired to get the car towed. Maybe he'll get back out there. Who knows at this stage. Same for Corey Fenson as well. Corey brought his Ferrari into the pit lane and has been in there now for over a minute. Looks like he's just managed to get that service done. So Corey Fenson is still in the race, but a long way down now. I don't think he's going to be gaining any positions other than drivers retiring ahead of him. Well, that limping Mustang now a bit of a problem for our GTP battles for 4th down to 7th. They'll manage to make their way past. Gabriel Alvarado will stick all the way to the left side of the track and bring this one into the pit lane.
Man, and tell you what, if you are those cars down pit road, such as Murphy, with how much calamity and just chaos we've seen, there's another car turned around there. Man, is that Evans in the grass there? I believe it was with that bright green machine. With how much calamity you're seeing in this class, you should come back out because there's a lot of points apparently left to be gained, possibly here in this race with 37 minutes to go. This may not be your drop week just because you had damage on lap 1.
Yeah, maybe. We're hearing that Evans just went deep in turn 1 and spun, so not much more to that incident than what we saw live. Meanwhile, Bradley Holly has to get the defensive gloves on because he has been losing a bit of pace versus Graham Willman and Nathan Bartley up ahead. He's now up against Almeida, Ray, and Hedgecox. Those 3 drivers have been fighting with each other for the last few laps, and now they have another factor in the form of Bradley Holly's Acura. Let's see if this very successful driver at the PRL can hold off this charge.
You know, Bradley Holly's webcam is often the best spotter guide for a commentator, because oftentimes the lights in the room will somehow match some form of color on that car that he's driving today. So usually, if the room is blue or whatnot, I'm looking for the blue car, I'm looking for a green car. But here, Bradley's also set up that double camera. We'll come back to it later. But here we are, too wide through that corner. That was sketchy.
Well, yeah, very sketchy indeed, especially having to make your way around GT traffic. I believe that's the Porsche of Richard Saavedra, who's having to try and position himself somewhere as Hedgecox is going to get the move done on the Almeida and almost get past Nathan Ray as well, just in time for another GT to find its way through. Meanwhile, battle for 7th in GT3. Daniel Trinker in the Mustang has got his fellow Mustang of Sean Stecker making a pass on Evan Henneman there. This is quite the interesting fight, especially with the cars behind them. Look at the pack. Oh my goodness, Holly and Ray coming up on them. Pits are moving. Both of the cars on the way into the hairpin. That was incredible.
That car in the middle of that purple car wiggled trying to make that pass there, Reese. That's how late he was in the brakes into this corner. Look at him here, just not letting up a single iota is what they're doing here. And man, we're still 35 minutes left, guys. You guys don't need to be this crazy. This is like 5 minutes left in the race kind of behaviors here. But there's a great shot, by the way, of what you talked about as we're watching on board with Bradley Holly, about the fastest way sort of around that last corner is to cut what would be considered to be that pit entry lane. But man, Holly's putting the pressure on here. And look how much that car in front of him is trying to defend. You can see it, Reese, by how much that car in front of Brad is wiggling back and forth through the corners, trying everything he can to get every inch of everything out of that car.
Well, just remember, Nathan Ray, when we last looked in on him a few laps ago, was behind everyone in that battle. He was behind Holly, Hedgecox, and Almeida too. That whole sequence, passing through the traffic, getting it done under brakes, Nathan Ray has gained 3 positions in the space of just a couple of laps. That's an excellent run for him. Now up to 4th, but can he hold off Holly while trying to navigate this GT3 traffic? This is the battle for 3rd that they're in the midst of at the moment. Chris Stewart, Jake Cummings, and Ted Lowendick. It's interesting to see that Chris Stewart has found his way up into 3rd. I wasn't even keeping track of that. Seems like Jake Cummings has lost touch with Brett Gardner and William Fenson.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. There's been so much going on just from individual cars. It's almost hard to also keep track of the spots they're in at the same time here. But Chris doing a great job up in P3 here. This is Jake Cummings, by the way, part of the race here in the 95 machine. And look at that, kind of, what's your opinion, Reese? And everyone has a preference, and I don't think there is a right or wrong answer, but Jake is really huddled up there against that wheel, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. It's not a typical driving position. Usually you'd find that they're that the arms would be a little straighter, but I think he's going for more of a stock car style arrangement there, which I suppose is working for him. Cummings has been consistently one of the fastest GT3s in the field as Jack Hedgecox tries around the outside of Bradley Holly for what is now 5th place, and this brings Alex de Almeida right back into the battle. Power on for the Cadillac. Will pass the Acura down the inside into the hairpin. That was a beautiful move.
Yeah, what a beautiful move is happening right here. This battle with Hedgecox, Holly, and Almeida. Of course, Hedgecox last season, I remember one of those drivers that was sort of had a very up and down season. Reese had some great moments, had some unfortunate moments, and really paid the price and the points for it. But now he's doing a great job here, holding off one of the most, I think the most winningest driver in all of PRL in Bradley Holly.
Yeah, Bradley Holly's had so much success, but seems like the GTP's not treating him too well here, as that was a poor run out of Junsao for him, and De Almeida will pass him into turn 1. Holly had a little look up the inside there to try and unsettle him, but the move was done from there. So Bradley Holly now down 2 from where he started. Nathan Ray and Jack Hedgecox with the best runs in the GTP field so far.
Now we are back to your GT3 battle here. And now you see this is going to be Stecker, Trinka, Henneman, and Savreda coming through 7, 8, 9, and 10 here coming into this first corner, the left-hander. Now they're going to come back through and get sped up for the right-hander. Then another left-hander here.
Oh, yeah, just waiting with bated breath to see what the GTP was doing there. I think that was that's Rodrigo Abrao making his way through on them there. What a fight this battle is. 4 cars involved for 7th place, and Sean Stecker, remember, he was behind Trinka and Henneman when we last looked at them, so he's had a really good run the last couple of laps, and we'll find Saavedra finding his way through shortly, I am certain, with a nice wide entry into the hairpin section, but I think a little bit offline, too offline to really take advantage.
Yeah, sadly for now, I agree, a little too offline, so he'll need to kind of back it up and try it again here and see what he can make happen. But with 30 minutes left still, pit stops left to go. No need to get frustrated yet. But, oh, man, I thought he was going to dig to the inside there, Reese. He did dig to the inside, but luckily he backed out, or that would have been really, really bad news.
Yeah, the problem with that corner, Junsao, is it's tempting to try and make a move up the inside, but then you've got the entire start-finish stretch to deal with the consequences of your actions. You make a move up the inside there, you're narrow on entry, you're compromised on exit, the other car can pass you right back, so sometimes it's best to just hang back through that section and focus on getting the optimum power delivery. You'll also notice, if you've been watching iRacing broadcasts for a while and racing, that the drivers aren't going as wide into Junsao anymore. That's because the off-tracks have been updated for Interlagos. In the past, you could go all the way across the curb on the entry into that corner to widen the entry, but you can't do that anymore. Meanwhile, TJ Yankee here in 13th place, involved in a fight with Travis Pruitt, and well, we shall see if he can represent America and get himself the position here. Currently lucky 13th, but who knows, that might change.
Yeah, it might change. We'll see how he does here. Here's a pass here. Just Schwartz, I believe, trying to make the pass now. With these corners right here, Reese, it is so hard to get a pass made. You're back and forth, and you're inside, you're outside, you're inside, you're outside, and you're trying to navigate it. It's just, as you said earlier, there's places to make a pass and not to make a pass. And I don't believe those rolling S's is where I'd want to make my pass.
No, certainly not. It's difficult to say the least, especially in high-speed, high-downforce cars like the GTPs, but Darian Roy there in one of the only Porsches in the GTP field, repping the German brand very nicely. The Acura and the Cadillac have been the most popular choices, the Porsche not so much, but Roy is showing that it can have pace.
Yeah, it can have pace, and of course, there's been a lot of talk in the community about the different GTPs and which one's better and which one does what. I often believe that while there are maybe differences in the car, sometimes it's the driver. It's your comfort. It's your mentality about the car. It's if you want to learn how to drive it, there's probably ways to make up speed and time. But sometimes we all kind of get sucked into the meta, and we kind of don't want to look past that here. So that can play a battle as well here. This was back to this battle here again. They come up the hill for the start-finish line. This is Schwartz and Darian Roy, 11th and 12th. Let's see how they handle turn one again. Now they're single file this time.
Yeah, but Darian Roy, you saw, is setting himself up for the exit through Curva de Sol, and he's holding on to that. Look at the run from the 211. He might have enough to stick it up the inside at Descida de Largo, but no, he decides to back out of it at the last moment, wait for another chance to pass Nicholas Schwartz later on. Remember, they still have to take a pit stop in both of our classes. We've had some early pitters likely for damage in both classes, but in terms of scheduled pit stops, we are still quite a way away from that happening.
Well, quite a way away indeed. We're not too far from that window opening where we can see it be feasible for some pit stops to start happening. But most drivers in both classes, as you said last race, they want to run it dry, run it out of fuel, run everything you can get out of it, come down for a very small pit stop, and then get yourself down to the end of the race here. And there's a bunch of cars here. We're looking at Bradley Holly back to 7th, by the way, falling back a couple spots. And having a pretty tough day here at Interlagos. And man, look at that, this line of GT3s, and there's one or two GTPs trying to get through the field there.
Yeah, this is tough here for Jack Hedgecox and Alex de Almeida. Bradley Holly being given a chance to get back past de Almeida thanks to that little transition through the GT3 pack. Now the Acura right on the back of the fellow Acura there of de Almeida, but a little bit of aero push is something that you need to be careful of in this sequence of corners. Of course, the GTPs produce a lot of their downforce through the underbody and through the diffusers, but you still get a little bit of aero disturbance when you're following closely behind another car through fast corners. Hedgecox around the outside of the Porsche there of Kerry Corcoran. I believe I said it was Saavedra earlier. My apologies. Saavedra's in a Corvette, so the Stars and Stripes Porsche for sure. Kerry Corcoran as Holly struggles to get on the power in the Acura. The V6 Turbo certainly proving a bit of a tough nut to crack.
And here we are, Bradley Holly again now managing to deal with traffic and also battle for position at the same time. You see a GT3 here on the right, so he'll move left to avoid that. And barely does he, my goodness. Look at all the contact or potential contact back here. This has been, as I said, a shorter track than last time recent. We're seeing it, maybe not as much direct wrecking as last time or contact, but lots of close ones here.
Yeah, plenty of close calls in both classes, as Matthew Denise in the GTP looks like our first scheduled pit stop. Meanwhile, Ted Lowendick has caught right up to Chris Stewart and Jake Cummings. This Audi has proven incredibly quick this season. Ted Lowendick sat on pole position back at Daytona. He's certainly got a lot of pace under him. Let's see if he can get the power down out of Jun Sao and go up against the might of Jake Cummings' Corvette. Need to make way for our GTP leader, though, threads the needle. That was a lap GT3 there of Doug Evans running wide in the bright green machine. And now it's time for the slipstream. Just need to catch up a little bit more, be assertive on the brakes, and then set up for the exit through Curva do Sol.
Yeah, so let's ride on board here through the corners and watch just how tricky these are. Going left to right, and whatever way you want to go with it. And there's, of course, there's the multi-class traffic on the outside. Now you come down this long straightaway. There in its pit exit on the left, you saw the white line painted on the track. And then we go back into a left-hander here. And keep this battle moving. This is the battle for third place in the GT3 class we're watching. You know, Reese, one of the beautiful things about this GT3 class, of course, we have GT3s on both Mondays and Tuesdays in PRL, is how diverse we have gotten with the cars, the models, should I say, in GT3. It's no longer dominated by a manufacturer. There's almost all GT3s represented in this field.
Yeah, it's a really good spread of different brands, different machines. I love how well matched the cars seem to be at the moment. There's probably a few Mustang drivers who'd like a little bit of favor when it comes to balance of performance, but I think aside from that, pretty much any car can conceivably win a race, but it's all about who's sorted out the car that they're driving. And if you're talking about Tech Sport Academy, well, they've got the Corvette sorted out for sure. Brett Gardner has shown himself to be the standard of the field in GT3. Here's one of the Mustangs, Daniel Trinko, who's having one of his better races so far. He's got Richard Savager and Evan Henneman close behind, though, and looking to take advantage. Mustang versus Corvette, the great matchup.
Meanwhile, pit stops have started in GT3s. Look on the side of your screen. Ted Lowendick, one of the first GT3s I've noticed down pit road. 12, 13 seconds at this time is where he is. So Ted's going to try apparently pull the undercut and see what he can get away with.
Yeah, interesting decision there from Ted. We'll see if that works out for him. I mean, obviously, coming out in traffic, probably not as much of an issue in GT3 as it would be in GTP. There's Lowendick there emerging from the pits in 7th spot, and he's come out in a nice little pocket of clear air, so I think that's worked out for him. Meanwhile, Jake Cummings trying to get back onto the podium here. Chris Stewart has put on a fantastic drive here. But Cummings, of course, a very fearsome competitor at the best of times. So we'll see what kind of exit he gets here from Jun Sao. Look at the focus here that Jake Cummings is having to deal with. This is quite the battle. It has been for a while, and it's going to continue. Do either of them commit to the pits this time? They do not. They're going to be staying out as long as they can. This is another opportunity for Cummings to save a little bit of fuel. Meanwhile, Carsten Quint has stopped on the circuit. Not too sure what's going on for him. He is rolling again, but we'll grab a replay of that one. And oh dear, it looks like he just lost it into the hairpin at Bico de Pato. That's such a shame there. Again, quite an easy thing to do in the GTP class. It's, I guess, a little similar to what we saw in the LMP3s earlier. You've got to be very careful on the brakes, otherwise the rear's just going to snap on you.
Yeah, it's really awful when a rear snaps on you in that car, Reese, because almost like anytime it happens at a track like this, it almost comes out of nowhere, doesn't it? It sort of snaps and very, very difficult to handle. Here's the battle for 5th for GTP up in the top left of your corner. And the battle for 3rd, I believe, in the bottom right, yep, in GT3s. You know, Reese, one thing I like about the separation of the classes here and moving back to GT3s in this race is that there is a speed disparity now, or more of a disparity in the speeds. And so, like, if a prototype has a problem here, the whole field doesn't kind of come clamoring in and just wreck into you 100 times. There's actually a nice pace difference in these two classes.
Yeah, indeed. It does introduce some challenges of its own, but it is a little bit easier for the GTPs to find their way around, especially in the braking zones and through the faster corners. And when those battles come together, as we just saw, it turns into a lovely little bit of racing action. There's so much you have to keep in mind when you're driving in one of these races. You know, you're trying to attack the driver ahead of you, trying to make the position, but you've also got to be wary of traffic, whether you're a GTP or a GT3. It's always there, and you have to be prepared to find a way around.
Yeah, because not very often do these cars really go to tracks where, you know, it's hard to find traffic, right? I mean, every now and then we'll see these races go to a bigger track like the Nürburgring, but for the most part, it's tracks where that doesn't matter. But here's a pass. This is Jake Cummings and Chris Stewart, third. Oh, goodness. Man, you really just kind of let yourself in there, Jake Cummings. Just sort of make yourself known, I guess.
Yeah, well, that all started with Chris Stewart running wide in Ferradura, and then Cummings completing the move by going a little deep and maybe a little bit of contact as well. Daniel Trunka and Bowie Suin in the two Mustangs there, sorting themselves out for 10th and 11th. It seems like Trunka has lost a couple of spots in the midst of everything. I'm not quite sure where that happened, but he's still running consistently. Still looks like he doesn't have much, if any, damage on his car. So just hold on and keep going to the end. This is what happened to him. This is why he lost the position. So he gets on the brakes, but the car just loses it through the braking zone. I think very well recovered, all things considered.
Yeah, a little like Baja 1000 rallycross style move right there, and got it recovered. And all things considered, for all the talk about grass and iRacing, how slick it can be, he really did a great job of holding on there. Look, speaking of holding on, here's a battle. Whoa, my goodness. Between two of the prototype classes. This is Bradley Holly and Almeida. This is now for 5th and 6th. Bradley's picked up a couple spots here and is trying his best to hold on to P5.
Yeah, Holly fell behind the battle for a bit, but he's managed to gear the pace back up. De Almeida in the slipstream, and we'll see if either of them commit to the pit lane there. They won't. De Almeida drawing alongside Bradley Holly. Here we go into turn 1. De Almeida moves up the inside. Holly will concede the position.
Man, aggressive by both. Aggressive how Holly used that GT3 as like a rolling chicane, and then De Almeida came back and just said, hey, let me lean on you before turn 1. So both being pretty aggressive here. Let's see how it happens now into our next left-hand turner. Here's Bradley in the inside lane. Now he pushes wide. Man, these guys are just everywhere. It's like Roy Kent. They're here, they're everywhere. Well, I can't say the rest of that, but you know, Roy Kent.
Yes, indeed. Almeida makes his way back past Holly out of Ferradura, and they have to make their way past the Mustang there of Bowie Suin, battling with Kerry Corcoran in the Porsche. My goodness, the fighting that's going on between these two on this lap. Holly trying his best to, try and keep the position there, but seems like De Almeida has gotten a great bit of pace back. And remember, these guys still have to take their pit stop. I think they, much to their chagrin, have lost a couple of seconds battling with each other like they have.
Yeah, that's always the downside of these big battles. They're fun for us, right? It's a story to watch. It's all about what to talk about. But anytime you're doing that, yeah, you're losing time on the leader here. And I was thinking the same thing. We're down to less than 16 minutes to go. We see Holly just came down pit road, by the way. Good call by you in prediction. But there are drivers left to pit here with about 16 minutes to go. So we're going to run a little deeper into the race than we did last time for the LMP3s before people come down pit road.
Yep, a little bit more time left to go before we see pit stop cycles complete. TJ Yankee and Travis Pruitt. That's the GT3 battle we were looking at earlier. Sorry about that. Got TJ confused with Bowie Suin, the battle for 9th and 10th. So Let's see if TJ can hold on to this one. Travis Pruitt looking reasonably quick. Managed to take 5/10 out of TJ on the last lap. So I think the Mustang's going to have to start using those mirrors in a couple of moments' time.
Yeah, very possible. I have to use those mirrors and whatnot. But let's take a look here. Back. This is Jack Hedgecock's now back to P10, by the way. He is now fallen back through the field a little bit here. And we're now seeing him battle here through the right-hander. Now setups up the left-hander. Man, back to 10th. That's a pretty steep drop from I remember Jack being.
Well, yeah, Jack pitted 5 laps ago. So he's currently making his way through his final stint. Rodrigo Abreu, meanwhile, we saw him have an incident earlier on, and he was one of the first of our GTPs to pit 14, coming up to 15 laps ago now. So question on my mind is, will Abreu be able to make it to the end? My sincere apologies for that background sound. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Abreu pitting quite some time ago as Hedgecox is way too deep in turn 1, and oh, he's gone.
Wow, great job avoiding the wall there. He's still going to be mad and frustrated at himself for being that deep in the corner, but was able to get on the brakes and avoid the wall. That's the good news. But yeah, I agree with you. Watch this again here. Oh, man. Did he actually wiggle to the inside first? I think that's what I saw in that replay there.
Yeah, yeah, looked like it.
But I was going to say, per your math, that means that Abreu would have pitted back right around lap 8 or so out of 34. That's hard for me to believe that he can make it. If he does, it'll be really close and really tight on fuel, I would assume. But I don't know.
Yeah, we're not too sure at this stage, as Brett Gardner from the GT3 lead making his pit stop. Fenson and Cummings behind have done exactly the same. Chris Stewart pitting 3 laps ago. He was fighting with Jake Cummings for 3rd spot. We'll see if that undercut has worked out for him. It seems like as Cummings makes his way out. Oh no, Fenson! William Fenson has spun coming out of pit lane. That was a guaranteed 2nd place there for Fenson Brothers Racing, and it is gone now. Have a look at Chris Stewart and Ted Lowendick as well with the momentum out of Curva de Sol. They're going to carry that momentum, but Jake Cummings has come out just ahead of them. So big drama in GT3 there.
That's the 2nd Fenson we've seen in the fencing tonight, so that's not good news for that family name because they've had a real tough time here at the track. Watch it again here. Just hit the bump right there, and they got him on the curbs. And oh man, great job avoiding him right there. By the way, there was a car going by that could have easily have made contact.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Cummings very lucky there not to run into him, and very quick on the steering wheel as well to avoid that. Oh dear. Well, we keep our eyes out on 8th and 9th. Evan Henneman chased down by Sean Stecker in the Ford Mustang 720. Now, Stecker, we've seen involved in these battles in and around the top 10 the whole time, but in terms of position, he's actually down 1 from where he started. Henneman, meanwhile, up 6 spots from where he started, so looks like his race pace is a lot better than his qualifying pace. And speaking of positions gained, how about Richard Savadra, who's quite a ways ahead of these two at the moment? 10 spots gained for the 999. That is the most positions gained of any car in the field.
Okay, so you see on the left side of your screen now some of the ups and downs of this race. And of course, your leader has a dash because they've not lost or gained anything. But Jeff Evans up P6. Jeff back from his long 3-week vacation, so getting back in the rhythm of racing here. And then on the bottom of your screen, see, by the way, down 11 was one of those calls. There's Sabita up +10. So you see different ups and downs from people gaining and losing spots here. All right, well, Fenson has towed, we're now being told, by the way, Reese. He may have done some real damage to that car when he hit that wall of those curbs and eventually the little bit of the wall, I think.
Different Fenson. Corey Fenson.
You're correct.
Yes, Corey Fenson. We saw him back out on the racetrack after his spin coming out of Junsao earlier, just coming out of pit lane, and oh no, he pushed too hard on the pit exit out of Curva de Sol. My God, that would have been an absolute brown pants moment for Kerry Corcoran, who was the Porsche just ahead there. That looked terrifying.
It's terrifying for me, and I wasn't in the car. I was holding on the sides of my chair. I might have white knuckled the grips on my chair here watching that. Let's watch the onboard here. Watch this. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Ooh.
Oh my god.
And that's
Yeah,
one of those
heart
moments
jumping.
where you're like, what could the spotter have said to you in that moment? You know, like, look out.
Yeah. Go left, go right, just go where the car isn't.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. Well then, his Twitch chat will certainly be trying to lend him some support after that little fright. In any case, Kerry Corcoran continuing on in 12th spot, up 6 places, which is very nice indeed. This fight, meanwhile, still going on between Stewart and Lowendick for what is now 3rd place. William Fenson, who spun coming out of pit lane, is back to 5th spot. He's with his relative Eric Fenson, as Bartley and Ray will come in from the GTP lead. Pat Pelchat will move back through to the lead. Pelchat, a driver we haven't given much airtime to in this race, and for very good reason. He's just done the Pat Pelchat thing and led the whole way.
And sometimes that's the most difficult part of being the leader, is that, you know, you have these broadcast races and sometimes you get such little camera time because you're so far in the lead that, you know, it's not maybe as dramatic or as a exciting camera shot as it could be for a 2 or 3 wide battle. But Pat has done a great job with Solpak. You know, Pat often sits down and spends numerous hours per week building the sets for the team and trying to get it right. And, you know, let's watch a shot here. Speaking of side-by-side exciting battles, there was a pass deep in there for the purple and black car. That was Jack Hedgecock's now at the P8, getting around Jeremy Carter's. Or Jeremy Carter 5. That's a 5.
Yes, indeed. There are at least 5 Jeremy Carters out there. Well,
Does it make you wonder what happened to the first 4 of them?
Yeah, I wonder too. Does he keep them in the basement? I'm not too sure. It's been a good recovery from Jack Hedgecock's after the unfortunate spin we saw from him earlier when passing Rodrigo Abreu. So we'll see if he can continue on with that. Meanwhile, Sean Stecker still chasing down Evan Henneman here, edging ever closer in the braking zone. What's the exit going to be like? Hearing that Jake Cummings has lost out here and is actually with Ted Lowendick and Chris Stewart right now, losing 2 spots. Something has gone on there for the number 95, who was off the podium.
Yeah, off the podium indeed is where he is, and some very tight, tense moments here with 7 minutes to go. Let's watch this replay and see what happens. Gets up here through the corner and whoa!
That was a very scary slide, and ultimately,
looks like maybe he got to the apex a little early, I think, in that corner.
Yeah, maybe. Potentially trailing the brakes a bit too much as well, because like coming into Ferradura there, the double apex right, you need to rotate the car a little in the mid corner. Let's see what happened to him here. Oh, it was on the downshift, it looks like. See the amount of wheel work he had to do to keep that thing going. That was looked like a very snappy car, and he hasn't stood much of a chance of getting back past Stewart and Lowendick, but maybe he'll have a chance on this lap with them having to make their way through for Darian Roy in the Porsche 963.
Yeah, based on that cockpit view, it looked like he was like arm wrestling a grizzly bear, didn't it? Just back and forth, back and forth. Scary moment here, by the way, is 8th and 9th for GT3. This is Hinneman and Stecker. We've seen this battle going on for a little bit here, time after time. About 6 minutes to go in this race. Both are trying to make a pass here, and they're side by side again. Man, for how treacherous it is to pass the S's, how many cars have we actually seen be single file through that turn 1?
Yeah, it's a popular spot. Is turn 1 at Interlagos for passing, especially if you're on the outside. You can certainly get it done. But for now, Looks to me like Sean Stecker has the pace he needs in the Mustang to keep that position. He's back up to where he started in 8th in GT3, but Evan Henneman still with a lot of pace behind him. Maybe that early pace is starting to reveal itself as pushing the car a little too hard for the Ferrari.
Yeah, maybe so. We'll have to wait and see here what they can do with it. Now, here's that battle that's gotten interesting. This Stewart, Lowendick, and Cummings 2, 3, and 4. This is a battle for everyone on the podium except for Brett Gardner, who's 12 seconds ahead here. And Ted Lowendick is trying to get up to P2 and catch Chris Stewart with all of his might.
Oh.
My goodness, would they stop doing that?
Oh dear, I get a heart attack every single time a GTP comes out of Curva do Sol with some GT3s, because it's like, where are they going to go? The gaps are so tiny that you have to just throw yourself in there and hope that it works out. That little distraction might have fallen in the favor of Ted Lowendick, though, because have a look at how much he's catching up Chris Stewart coming into the twisties, and Cummings, he's extending the circuit as much as he possibly can to gain some extra speed through the turns. Lowendick now focusing on the late apex here. It's going to be defensive potentially. No, it's not from Chris Stewart. He's confident that he has the pace to stay ahead.
Yeah, great job by Stewart. Ted here is trying to back it. But what I was going to say, Ted's really emerged in the past year or so. Of course, known for many years across PRL as being a road course driver. In the past year or so, Reese has picked up his oval racing skills as well. Races Wednesday nights in the Grand National Series. Has a great time over there. Has had great success over there so far. So you can watch him race this Wednesday night, in fact, right about the same time as now, here live on RaceSpotTV. They'll be there. Bradley Holly will be there. Jeff and Doug Evans will be in that race. So you'll see a lot of familiar names if you tune in Wednesday night.
And DJ will. And I think the idea of getting into oval racing, I think it's a good way to improve your car control at the limit. I don't think many people talk about that, as Nathan Bartley has come into the pits again from second place in GTP. It looks like a drive-through penalty for Nathan Bartley. That's such a shame. The incident limit strikes again.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we saw now both races for different drivers. Vincent LaRue last hour and now Bartley this hour, where that incident penalty limit is showing through. That'll elevate Graham Wildman to second place. Graham tried the PRL trucks for a season, decided that wasn't for him. So he's back now down to doing just the road course, and hey, that's okay. Now, I will say, though, Reese, a common thing I hear amongst the drivers about why you want to do oval is they believe it makes them learn how to trail brake better than if they're just doing road course driving.
Yes, that's another very good point, and one that I was hoping to work towards. Because ovals, you're spending a lot of time in the turn. You're spending a lot of time trying to get the car to do exactly what you want through the turn for the optimum entries and exits, and keeping the grip on the fronts all the way through. And if you do that enough, you'll be able to transition that skill into your road racing, as Rodrigo Abreu is by his teammate Alex de Almeida. This is a great recovery here from Rodrigo with less than 2 minutes remaining in the race. You know what? With the way he's going, I think Abreu is going to be able to make a recovery here and might not have to pit again. This is what happened to de Almeida. Looks like he just lost it coming through Bico de Pato, and that was almost the teammates making contact there.
Oh, that was close right there, watching that happen. We're back to the GTP battle here. This is going to be back here with Darian Roy trying to get up to P11 here. We'll see if he can make this pass happen. And man, it just always feels so tight and scary when you got multi-class involved here with the GT3s, because it feels like they always pass them at the least opportune time of that moment. Well, 1:15 left on the clock, so I believe next time by, when Pat Pelshaw comes around, it'll bring out the white flag. And look at this, Darian Roy almost with the bump draft, talking about ovals. Just giving the little bump and run here.
And there is the white flag for Pat Pelshaw across the line. One more tour around Interlagos for the championship leader, and it'll be one more tour here in the battle for second in GT3. Chris Stewart still holding off Ted Lowendick, but the Audi is in the slipstream. Is there going to be a move into turn one? Ted Lowendick is going to have a go into the braking zone here, but Stewart ahead at the apex. He'll be compromised on his line though. Lowendick sent wide. That's going to give a chance to Cummings now.
Well, speaking of chance for Cummings, here he comes now trying to get up onto Ted Lowendick. This is for the podium, as you said. Cummings needs to use that car on the outside for a little bit of draft if he can. Ted's trying to block the line here.
Yeah, we're both live here as there's a battle for second place ahead of them as well in the GTPs. Nathan Ray trying to get past Graham Wildman on the final lap here. Cummings all over the back of Ted Lowendick there as they have to try and find their way through on another GTP too. Easy does it. Oh, that's such a difficult running for a GTP. Do you want to make the move and risk interfering with the battle? Looks like that's exactly what's going on here as the checkered flag is out, and Pat Pelshart will take yet another win in the GTP class. What a beautiful drive it has been from him. Graham Wildman is going to hold off Nathan Ray, but it's all down to the exit of Junsao in the GT3 class. Ted Lowendick has lost touch completely with Chris Stewart, and now Jake Cummings needs to try and find something here in the slipstream, but I think he's just too far back.
Well, yeah, penny, it was a day late, dollar short kind of thing right there. Just needed more time.
Yeah, oh dearie me. Well, here we go then for 11th place as well. Daniel Trinker and Kerry Corker, and both of them having plenty of adventures over the course of this race. They are, from what I can see, the last two cars on the circuit that will still be racing when everything concludes. Is there anything that Daniel can do in this final section?
Yeah, I don't think they can, but we're going to wait and find out here to watch this battle for 11th and 12th. Oh, there's a blown-up car. That is a blown-up GT3. See that infamous dark gray smoke? That means that motor is dead. That had to be contact with something. So that both these guys might get a free spot here. Reese?
Okay. It's not full position, and it's actually Corey Fenson, I think, who's blown his engine on the final lap. What is the deal with that? Evidently a bad downshift or something to that effect, but he will cross the line, fortunately. And well, that's going to be Pat Pelshart making his way into the pits at full speed to celebrate the extension, once again, of his championship lead, the class of the field in our GTP class. We'll have a chance in a second to go through the results and get ourselves to a chat with the drivers. So Pelshart taking it by 16.6 seconds over Graham Wildman. Top two finishing exactly where they started, but there was a lot more to that story. Nathan Ray finishes in third spot, with Nathan Bartley exceeding the incident limit, having to take a drive-through in the dying laps. Bradley Holly and Alex de Almeida, they end up back where they started, but it was a big adventure for the both of them. Rodrigo Abreu with a great recovery to 7th spot. Jeremy Carter finishes ahead of Jack Hedgecox, and Jeff Evans will round out the top 10. Matthew Denise will keep Darian Roy behind only by 0.3 of a second, and Nicholas Schwartz, meanwhile, 13th place on the road, with Carsten Quint, the only other driver in GTP, finishing a lap down on the rest of the field, Derek.
Let's go move over to the GT3s really quick with Brett Gardner, your race winner, by 13 seconds over Chris Stewart. Ted Lowendick finished third. That's the last driver on the podium. Right behind him was Jake Cummings for P4. William Vincent in P5. Eric Vincent finished P6. Richard Savreda finished P7. Sean Stecker P8. And then Evan Hedman and Bowie Suin round out your top 10. Moving on down to the field, your last cars on the lead lap are Kerry Corcoran and Daniel Trinka. Then you got TJ Yankee, Travis Pruitt, and Doug Evans one lap down. And then further down from that, Gabriel Alvaredo, Sean Murphy, Corey Finson, and Dean Garreau round out your 19-car field here for GT3s.
Oh boy, well, what an interesting race that was, but once again, rising above it all, Pat Pelchat with us now in the Selpic Precision Racing Acura. Pat, it's a difficult circuit, Interlagos, but a fun one, especially in these cars, and you look like you were having fun out there.
Absolutely. Interlagos is probably my my favorite track on the service, probably up there with Le Mans. Honestly, like, the car was very, very good. Yeah, it was fun, man. The track is amazing.
Yeah, you put a lot of effort, of course, into getting the setups together for these series, so it must be good to see your efforts rewarded with yet another win on the board in GTP.
Yeah, honestly, I gotta give the big thanks to Max Muir. Again, my teammate. We worked on the set this week, and he's very, very fast, and he got some crazy good results in the officials this week. And yeah, we really nailed down the setup, and yeah, car was good, man. The car was pretty good.
Yeah, certainly looked good in the Acura. Well, next track that we go to is going to be Fuji Speedway, the no chicane layout. I suppose the back section, the final section of that circuit, is a little bit similar to Interlagos and the Twisties, so you'll at least have something to work from there.
Yeah, probably. It's a weird track, honestly. I didn't practice much, run there much. It's been like probably 3 seasons since we ran there. Gonna have to put some time and try to dial down the set, but you know, we'll just show up ready as always. So yeah, that's pretty much it, eh?
Indeed it is. Well, big thanks for joining us, Pat, and congratulations on yet another virtual trophy added to your wall.
Hell yeah. Thanks, guys.
Pat Pelchat winning the GTP class there. In second spot, Derek, it was Graham Wildman in the orange Cadillac. Another great drive.
Well, Graham, here you are, P2 in this great race here in the 53 machine. Tell me, what was it like out there?
Definitely a little sweaty there at the end. Nathan Ray gave me a run for my money as my tires were dropping off, but lost position on the start, just tried to run my own race, and I think the pace is pretty good other than Mr. Pelchat way out in front.
Sometimes you just got to take the victory as it is, knowing that maybe Pat got away from you. So next week, Fuji. What is your experience with Fuji? Do you like the track? Are you looking forward to it?
It's not one of my favorites, but I have driven it in the PRL before, so I think this time it doesn't have the chicane at the end of the lap, so hopefully that kind of helps the flow a little bit with traffic. Definitely got to practice more than I did this week since Spot 24 was this week, so I'm excited for it.
Well, I have 2 last questions for you. First, I have to ask about the obvious elephant in the room. You have CrowdStrike on the side of the car. What's that about?
Oh, well, you know, they've been having some PR issues recently, so they reached out to me to help them out, so we're helping out their image a little bit.
Okay. There you go. Well, speaking of reaching out and racing more, are we going to see you back maybe eventually on Wednesday nights in the trucks, or is that a one-and-done kind of thing?
I don't know. I definitely had a rough run with it in the trucks. I think I had the most wrecks I've ever had in the PRL in my life in that one season, so it's going to take a good twisting of the arm to get back in there.
All right. Well, I'll be there on Wednesday nights in the booth waiting for you. And Grant, was nice seeing you, and have a good night.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
Lovely stuff from Graham Wildman once again. Finishing in third in GTP, meanwhile, was Nathan Ray. Honestly, Nathan, that was looking like an interesting race from your perspective, struggling to find your way forward early on, but it all came together in the end.
Yeah, early on I knew that passing was going to be a problem, so I just did my best to save as much fuel as humanly possible up until the opportunities presented themselves. Then I just had to strike while the iron was hot.
Yeah, and strike you did with third place in the end, up 4 places. The traffic here is always going to be a big factor with how twisty the circuit is in the second half. Any particular points on the circuit where you had to take some extra care?
Into turn 1 was particularly dicey just because the closing rate and where the different cars turn in can make judging whether or not the move was actually going to stick was, you know, pretty hard to judge a lot of the time. And then into the final corner at the bottom of the hill, turn 12, there was a whole lot of, if there was GT cars ahead, just like let off way early and get the best run you can up the hill. Because otherwise, if you get like if you have to park it on the apex, everything you've worked for is immediately over because someone's going to get a good run, just motor on by you on the outside.
Well, we are going to continue on here for the second half of the season. Do you feel that there are more podiums on your horizon?
I don't necessarily want to get my hopes up too high. Just about every time this season, I felt really good going into the race. Something relatively out of my control has gone awry. I really like Fuji, but I'm going to try and not let that get in my head going into it. But looking forward to it all.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again, Nathan, and thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you. You as well.
Number 23, Nathan Ray there. And meanwhile, in the GT3 class, once again, Brett Gardner coming out on top.
Hey, guys.
Brett and Gardner, well, great job tonight in that 151 machine here with the Tech Sport Academy machine. So it looked very crazy up here. Like there's always some kind of multi-class traffic going on here at this track. What did it feel like in the car?
GTPs could definitely sneak up on you, but surprisingly enough, I kind of feel like Interlagos is a pretty decent track to be able to just keep an eye on your mirror and put your car in the right spot. So I wasn't really too worried about GTPs most of the time, but I also wasn't racing. I also didn't have anyone else around me that I had to fight after the first few laps, and that probably played a big part in that. I would not have been as lucky, I think.
There you go. Well, you pulled away very quickly and obviously won the GT3 class. So what do you think is leading to your success so far in the class this year?
Right now, I'm just really vibing with how the Corvette feels. I'm really liking how the setup changes and stuff that I'm figuring out about it actually affect the car. So I don't know. I feel connected to it. And I really feel like that's helping a lot.
All right. Well, next week when we go to Fuji, are you going to feel connected to the track?
I sure hope so.
All right. Well, listen. Well, that's Brett Gardner won tonight in the GT3 class. Congrats, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Brett Gardner once again with a great run there, and in second place it was Chris Stewart. What a fight that was, Chris. You were involved with Ted pretty much the whole way through that race, and you had Jake Cummings to deal with quite a bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's frankly, it's just a pleasure to race those guys week in and week out. They're very clean, very fast, and we just have a great time. So love racing with those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. The pit stop cycle was always going to be an issue here at Interlagos. Was there any particular plan that you had coming into this? Because you tended to split Lowendick and Cummings when it came to when you pitted.
Yeah, look, I kind of go by the Mike Tyson rule. Like everybody really has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So thought process was I'm just going to pit at the absolute last moment. Jake overtook me in a really good fashion there into the race, and so as soon as that happened, I thought, okay, it's time to shift. I'm jumping in the pits. Let's cool these tires down a little bit and see if we can make some hay on the other side, and thankfully we did.
Indeed. P2 finish here at Interlagos. Do you see any more of that in your future as we go to Fuji next week?
I'm focused more on P1, but yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
We certainly will. Thanks very much, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Chris Stewart there. And finally, the Audi of Ted Lowendick. Once again, in the broadcast booth with us, another podium for him, Derek.
Well, he may not actually be Reese, but I think of him as the man who invented the shoey, Ted Lowendick. Well, Ted, no shoey tonight, but still a great run in P3.
Yeah, that was fun. I got to give a shout out to my wife. I was going to be late getting to this session, so I called her up, and she is 34 and a half weeks pregnant now, so she waddled her way down the basement stairs into the sim room.
No. Let's help you with some PR. Please change that word, please. She's listening. I know she is. Please don't use that word.
She used it earlier to describe how she walks to the mailbox, so I feel like it's fine. She made her way down to the computer, plugged it in, turned it on. I walked her through opening up iRacing, all of the overlays and everything that I have, and she got me into the session, so shout out to her. But yeah, no, it was a good race. I thought it was pretty fun. Had a good battle there with Chris, and got a little argy-bargy at times. It was fun.
I know you don't see it now, but your bottom third for the broadcast says Ted Lowendick doesn't know remote desktop exists.
Oh, Dustin.
There it is. All right. Well, Ted, it's been fun watching you. I'd like to say we're going to see you on Wednesday for Grand Nationals, but after saying the word waddle on the broadcast, I'm concerned that you may need a replacement driver Wednesday night. I'm just saying.
Nah, I'll be there. We'll be fine.
All right. Well, Ted, great job tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Well, lovely stuff again from Ted Lowendick. Another great points day for him. Well, that's going to bring proceedings to an end for tonight, Derek. Looking forward to next week here in GTP and GT3 Fuji Speedway. We had a fantastic race in the Super Formulas there last week, and I can't wait to see how our multi-class sports car action copes with this magnificent Japanese venue.
Yeah, with the no chicane layout, we'll see how it does, but that's next week. 1 week from tonight, obviously right after the LMP3 GT4 race. We'll waddle our way over to that race.
Yeah, we certainly will.
So dead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our commiserations to Mrs. Lowendick there. In any case, that's going to bring proceedings to an end here on RaceSpotTV. We want to thank you all for joining us here on this brilliant journey through some fantastic sports car racing on a Monday night. Big thanks once again to the PRL and all their associated sponsors for giving us this show in the first place. I'm Reese Gardner here on RaceSpotTV with Derek Watson alongside, and Dustin Ollis behind the scenes pressing all the buttons. We'll see you next time